over to me, had a book of hymns in his hand, and he flipped to 3 different songs, and he had me sing the first verse of each of those songs, and he basically was giving me an audition, and I did not know. And after the 3rd song, he closed the book and he said, "Okay, my boy," wraps his arm around me and my shoulder, and he says, "It's time for you to be in the choir." And I'm like, "Oh boy." So, yeah, my musicality grew and grew and grew from there, and I do sing. I don't claim to be Luther Vandross or anybody, but I can carry a tune. I have produced music, and I do love producing music. It's therapeutic for me, and I mean, I love music, love it. Yeah, I love music, and yes, that keyboard is mine.
Wow! All right, I learned something new about Cole Johnson. So that is amazing. I wish I had the ability to play a piano, or I'm probably decent at singing. I can blend in with the voices, is what I like to say. But yeah, being a musician is amazing. Just to be able to have the talent to play any instrument, not even the people that play more than one. To me, I'm just dumbfounded by when I see someone that can play piano, keys, guitar, drums. It just kind of blows me away. So that's great. That's great to know that. And nothing happens by accident. And everybody listening, nothing ever happens by accident. Me meeting Cole didn't happen by accident. Whatever God gives you to do is not by accident. So just be aware that whatever gifts God has given you, it's for a reason, and it's for a reason to give him glory. But you know, his gifts, I've heard this so many different times. The gifts that you have will make room for you, and God will make room for you with these gifts. And it may sound cliche, but it's real. I mean, that's how we get into. That's what our passions are. Whatever your passions are, and I'm kind of going on, but whatever your passions are, you have those for a reason. So tap into it. I just urge everybody listening to tap into it.
It's funny you say those particular words. The very first thing that my wife tasked me to do was to actually write a speech for she wasn't my sister-in-law then, because I was dating my wife at the time. So her sister-in-law then.
Right.
So she tasked me to write something. She gave me about, I think, 5 days to do it. And I had difficulty coming up with something, and my eyes gravitated toward that scripture you just said. The gift makes room for the giver and ushers him or herself into the presence of great people. And I said, okay, well, this is how I'm going to begin it. And I think that's how I got ingratiated into the family in which I married into. Because that seemed to be a gift that ushered my way into great people. And yeah, definitely. I definitely am on board with that.
All right. So what type of, I guess, run down some type of podcasts if you've done, or different episodes that you've done in the past. And then also, what was your favorite interview that you've done throughout your whole time doing podcasting? That's a tough one.
That second was a tough one, and it's even tougher by the fact that I've interviewed you. So, oh my gosh. Okay. So I've done solo episodes where it's just me, and I've learned to actually not just have my own voice through a recording. I actually have an intro. I actually add in music. I actually have some commercials. So it's not just me just going on extemporaneously for God knows how long. But yeah, I do solo shows. I also do special shows. Because I have a segment that seemed to take off almost as soon as I introduced it. It originally was Dolt of the Week, then it blossomed to Dolt of the Month, then it also blossomed to Dolt of the Quarter, and it has blossomed to the Dolt Awards, which that was in January, which, of course, it celebrates the anniversary of Cole Sportz. And for those who don't know, Dolt, spelled D-O-L-T, basically means not the brightest person or a person not doing the best thing. And it sort of is like it's highlighting the ignominious of the most ignominious things an athlete has done. So, of course, I have a little fun with that. For example, sometime almost a month ago, you remember Derek Fisher having a DUI and having having Matt Barnes Escalade flipped.
Yes.
And so, of course, at the end of it, I basically implored Derek to never touch the wheel if he's drunk. That if he is drunk, toss the keys to his girl, or if his girl is also drunk, just call a car service. Before that, I cut a commercial, a parody commercial called the Cole Sportz Driving Service, where I say that we will meet you where you are. We'll even pick you up off the floor, and we will take you to your house and drop you off. So
that's great. That is greatness right there.
Yeah. So
Man.
I've done. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say Derek Fisher has had a tough year, maybe 2 years, but
Ooh.
That's another topic.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you remember this time last year there was the settlement of his divorce where he had to pay $109,000 a month.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot of money.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of money. I'm like, man, $109,000 a month in alimony? Whew. Oh, that's stiff. But yeah, I do stuff like that. I also have, on the flip side, when athletes like Mario Lemieux sectioned off all of Heinz Field to bring a Penguins fan to skate with him on, quote, center ice, close quote. And I try to highlight those things too, and I call that champions personified. So I try to highlight the bad, and I try to highlight the good too to make it balanced. And I was doing enough of these shows, and I was enjoying it, but I said, you know what, I got to interview because I'm getting this itch to want to reach out and touch people and see what they have to say, because I want to learn something about myself through other people. To answer your question, I have actually been on private record, and I will definitely say it now. Definitely, your interview was the most powerful. I'm not saying that because I'm on your show. Just to let you all know, at the end of our interview, I was so moved that we actually prayed. So I can honestly say to you, I have never done that with anybody. So you definitely are at the top of the most powerful list.
Wow.
Yeah. Now I've had some interviews that were just as good too. I interviewed another sports guy. His name is D. Murph, and his story was that he was a JUCO basketball player who got a full ride to Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Played well enough to get some interest from the NBA, but decided to use his degree because he actually did graduate and actually, build his career from there. And he ended up having difficulty in adjusting. And now he does 3 podcasts, is married, and has 3 children, and he's doing great. Great brother and great story. Another is this wonderful woman named Wynn Charles, who is diagnosed with cerebral palsy. And you would think that you are the handicapped, quote unquote, when you talk to her.
Wow. Because
her will is just so powerful. And I immediately forgot that she was afflicted with anything because I was just dealing with the human being, and she wanted you to treat her as a human being. And that was a great message for me. And I probably learned the most from that interview, because everybody has a unique story. and everybody has a voice. And I took from her to always open up my platform to have people have a voice.
Man.
So I would say those are the interviews. I'll throw in one more. I interviewed my wife, and
definitely you got to put that one in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, have to. And I have to say, I was probably the most nerve-wracked in preparing for that interview. But once I started talking to her, before I even pressed record for the interview, I felt fine. And I would have to say, just on execution alone, that was probably one of my best interviews. So if I were to say the most powerful one was yours, the one I learned the most was Win Charles, and probably the best executed interview I've ever done was with my wife. Man,
that's a good top 3 right there. That's excellent, and I appreciate you putting me in that top 3. I appreciate that very much. And like I mentioned, I had my wife on the show, and I was nervous because, of course, it's your wife. You know, you've been doing this for a year, but when you're doing it next to her, how does it flow? How do you have a normal conversation with knowing it's your wife and she's sitting next to you? But it was great, the opportunity that I had her on the show. I think we definitely will have to do it again. And it was our wedding anniversary, so that I'm sorry, our relationship anniversary. We do 2 different anniversaries. Some people don't agree with that, but anyway, we do 2 different anniversaries, so that was one of them, and it was great. It was great. I enjoyed it very much, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. That's just one of those memorable moments that you have to save, that you got to kind of keep in your archive, that you can pull out sometimes.
Yeah. And on my end, I can definitely tell you that interview with my wife, if it's not the highlight, it's one of the biggest highlights for me. And for anniversary acknowledgments, my wife and I don't have that issue because we got married right around the time we met. So
wow, that's perfect.
So we met on November 21st one year. We got married November 20th the next year. So we don't have that. We don't have that problem.
Does it get any better?
I'm with you.
Does it get any better?
I'm with you on that. No, it doesn't. So I'm with you in celebrating when you guys met and when you guys married. I have no issue with that at all.
DFW listeners, are you looking to buy, sell, rent, or invest in a home? KC Real Estate is here for you. She services Collin, Dallas, and Denton counties. She loves first-time buyers and is never too busy for referrals. Contact Kay via phone at 214-641-3140 or by email at kayc@kw.com or visit her website kayc.kw.com. KC Real Estate.
Clearvue, the best new app out. Created for extreme texters, you can walk, text, and never miss a step. Designed with simplicity in mind, it provides transparency and awareness to the environment around you while you text and navigate the world. Get the app today on iTunes. Clearvue. Today's show was sponsored by Shawn Nataneti, Internet Sales Manager at Jerry Durant Toyota. Call or text him at 817-231-3696 or go to his website, GoShawnAuto.com. Welcome back to BS3 Sports Show. Thank you everyone for tuning in. That was an interview with Cole Johnson. I talked with him this past week, so that was the first half of the interview. We'll play the second half later on in the show. But there's been a lot of conversation in the chat room about CP3, about the Banana Boat team in New York. There's a lot of speculation The Knicks should be hiring David Griffin, I think.